For as long as I can remember, I have had mixed feelings about this feast day. Maybe I have abandonment issues, but the thought of him leaving doesn't sound that appealing to me. Why can't he stay? Isn't it at least as good to have him here with us, helping us, guiding us, than being in heaven? I've come to realize, though, that the Ascension teaches us some things that we can learn no other way. Some lessons about life that are so important and so hard to learn. In fact, we can only glimpse them, which is why the Ascension is a bit confusing to us, because it takes us right to the edge of what we can understand. The two things Jesus wants to challenge our thinking about tonight are our relationship with time and distance. Time and distance are much less important than we think they are here on earth, and the Ascension teaches us that. The first lesson is about distance. On Monday this week, I had a friend of mine who lives pretty far away on my mind all day long. I could not stop thinking about her. So maybe the fifth time that I was having a very strong thought about her, I picked up my phone to text her and let her know I was thinking about her, and I saw that I had a missed call from her. Does that happen to you? Happens to me quite often. That's part of life. It's because although we might be distant from someone physically, we could be very close with them. A lot of times, I like to go for walks by myself in nature. I intended to do one tonight down by the river, but the rain stopped me. But I got one in last night, and I often enjoy going to the Hanacroy Falls, not too far from here in New Baltimore, or I'll go to Cahotate down in Athens, and I'll be walking by myself, all alone, and I'll suddenly get a feeling like I'm surrounded by all the people I have ever loved and have ever loved me, living or dead. I'm not alone at all. Although I have solitude, I'll feel them all around me, and it feels so complete. In a couple of weeks at the end of the month, I'm going on a silent retreat. I try to do that at least once every year. And I'll be going to a monastery where I won't know anyone, but it won't matter because anybody who's there I won't talk to. I'm going to have my own little cottage. I'm going to have my meals in a designated place, like in a canteen, and I'm going to bring them back to my cottage and eat alone. The only time I'll see people is 3 times a day when we come together for prayer or for Mass. And if it's anything like the other silent retreats I've been on, I will be alone. And there might be days where I feel a little lonesome, but usually I'm not. I actually feel even more connected to the people in my life when I am somewhere in silence appreciating them and not right with them. You don't have to be close in distance to be close in heart. Many of us here tonight are physically in Ravenna, but our hearts are in Boston because that's where Tony Kark is getting ready to prepare for his bone marrow transplant. That experience of having your body in one place and your heart in another, that's an Ascension lesson. And the lesson is, we do not need to be nearby someone in order to feel them close. Jesus has not been with us in the physical form we think of him in for 2,000 years, and none of us is that old, so none of us actually has ever gotten a chance to experience him as a human man talking to us. He hasn't been in that form since 40 days after Easter, 2,000 years ago. But he's here, and you know him. How many times have I talked with someone who has said, I could never have made it through whatever a challenge was, particular bad time in life. I could never have made it through. He carried me through it. I couldn't have done it without him. That's why I think so many people love that famous prayer poem about the footprints in the sand? There's always two sets of footprints as you go through life, as Jesus walks alongside of you. But if you look closely, you'll see sometimes there's only one set, and it's at the hardest times of life. And that's because those are his footprints. He is carrying us. All of us who've had that experience know that we don't need to be physically close to him in order to be so close to him. The greatest proof of that is actually going to be in a few minutes. He is going to appear right here with us in the form of Eucharistic bread and wine. And the closeness we will have with him in that form is closer than if he walked in the room as a man. Because he's going to enter our bodies. He's going to go into us and go into every cell. So we don't need to have a physical nearbyness with someone in order to have a deep spiritual bond. That's one of the great lessons of Ascension. The second one is about time. God made time, and God made eternity. And we can understand that. There's two realms, time and eternity. But that's where we stop being able to understand so well. Because eternity is outside of time. Have you ever thought about what that means? Some people think, oh, it just means there's a lot of time there. No, there's no time, actually. So here's what that means. It means that everything that's ever happened in the past, and everything that's happening right now, and everything that's going to happen until the end of time is happening all at once in heaven. So the time of the dinosaurs and the year 2050 when I turn 75, and right now is all happening simultaneously in heaven. Now, don't think too hard about that, or your brain will liquefy and it'll come out of your ear, and somebody will have to clean it up, and we don't want to do that. But the reason I bring this up is not so we can understand it. It's to prove that we can't. We can't understand what that means, which goes to show us what a different realm heaven is than what we have. But here's what we need to know. In heaven, everything is already complete. There's nothing left to wait for. You know how we always say Jesus will come again at the end of time? Well, in heaven, there is no time. So he's already come. He's already triumphed. We heard that in that beautiful second reading. Christ has already triumphed. All things are already under his feet. It's just that we're in time. So we don't get to experience that yet. We have to make our way through time to eternity. Have you ever wondered why it is that all those loved ones in heaven are so complete without us? Has that ever hurt your feelings? That someone that you love so much has already passed beyond the veil, and you're told, oh, don't worry, they wouldn't come back if you paid them $1 million. And you think, wait a second, wouldn't they like to be with me? Aren't they missing me? And the truth is, no, but not because you're not important to them, because they already have you. Because heaven is outside of time. Because in heaven, there's nothing else to wait for. Because in eternity, you're already there. We can't understand that. We can't get our way through reason to that. But that's why there's nothing incomplete about heaven. And that's why we call it paradise. The Ascension teaches us that. The only thing that Jesus or any of us have to give up in going to heaven is time. And I haven't talked to anybody on that side, but I don't think they miss it. In their realm, everything is complete. So I'm deciding this year to get over my abandonment issues, because that's not what Ascension is about anyway. Ascension is about how unnecessary worrying about things like distance and time are. Because Jesus has proven to us that distance and time in heaven don't matter at all.